The fourth reading comes from Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 7. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available anywhere for them.
From darkness to light. The first words of this service had that theme. You responded to our call to worship. Do you remember? It was just a few minutes ago. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. When I was a child, I was a little bit scared of the dark. Did you have a nightlight when you were? I don't know when they were invented, but ours was, plug it in the wall, and it just, now they're fancy. They have photo cells, and they come on when it gets dark. I guess it's natural to not be so courageous when it's dark. Churches are scary places when it's dark. What's worse than physical darkness when we can't see well with our eyes? I think it's when we carry a deep darkness in our soul. That's the kind of darkness even the sun has trouble putting out, bringing to light. Christ came into the world to say, darkness will not overcome the light. Have you heard of Brad Hinn? Brad Hinn and his family live in Antioch, Tennessee. Claire and I caught a little interview of him. It was on 2 different networks on the same night. Out of Nashville. Antioch is where he lives. He and his family line up when they get all of the lights put on their house and around their trees and in their yard. It started sort of small with a few thousand lights. This year, they've been celebrating for, about 6 years, since 2012. This year, they have over 300,000 lights on their house and in their yard. The Griswolds would be jealous. They also have a little celebration when they turn the lights on for the first time. They write little notes, and they write them on helium balloons, and then they let them go up to heaven. You see, at 21 months old, Brad's daughter, London, was tragically killed in a car accident. So a way to greet her, she would be 8 years old this Christmas, and she died in 2012, near Christmas, when she was 21 months old. Brad says, I know she would be 8 today, but I still remember her as that precious little 21-month, almost 2 years old. Have you seen a child? It just fits the most beautiful description of a little girl. Have you ever, can you get that in your mind? Just precious. Their youngest child, too, Brad and his wife, precious to them, youngest child. The rest of their children, they stand and they all write notes on the balloons, and they write little prayers and greetings that they hope might get close enough to heaven for her to see them. Their house is all lit up. Yes, they've lost their little one, and he says, well, one thing about all these lights, I do this for London. That was her name, and so they call all the lights London's lights. It lights up Antioch. You might even be able to see it from space. I don't know. Brad says, we miss her terribly. It's a loss we may never overcome. He said, but with these lights, I hope to bring some beauty from our brokenness, some purpose from our pain, and some triumph in our tragedy. In 2012, Brad got in his pickup, backed down the driveway, and ran over London. And she died. It's a dark moment. Would you agree? The dark moment. Friends, there is not a person in this room that has not experienced some kind of pain that is almost unbearable. Am I making a sweeping statement, or do you think I'm telling you the truth? Christ came into this world as a little child, probably just as beautiful and filled with joy and light as London when she entered this world. Christ came in our darkness to say, this darkness won't win. Light will command the day. The darkness will not overcome the light. What can we do to bring beauty out of our brokenness? What can we do to give purpose to our pain? What can we do to experience the triumph over our tragedy? Well, for Brad, it was making London's lights and inviting everybody in the whole world to come see them and to remember her with joy and light and not the darkness that took her from this world. It was a terrible accident. You may have another way to bring beauty to your brokenness, or purpose to your pain, or triumph to your tragedy. Maybe even as something as simple as these little petals might be a start. But I suggest something greater than putting lights on a tree, greater than hanging a wreath on a door, greater than putting over 300,000 lights on a house in Antioch, greater than even, no offense, Molly, than these petals that would be put on this beautiful artwork. No offense. But greater than all of these would be if you would accept the light of the world into your very heart, so that you can know that you are loved and you are forgiven. Let me ask you something. In Brad's story, who do you think is the hardest person to forgive? Yourself. This night, this Blue Christmas is saying, this unspeakable gift of God in Jesus Christ is yours. And Christ came to say, I love you, and I forgive you, And I'm sorry for whatever you've been through. You know, the world didn't treat me too well either. They hung me on a cross. But the darkness did not overcome the light. Thanks be to God. And I am so thankful for Brad. I wanted to jump in the TV screen and hug his neck. Because he didn't live in the darkness. He decided to embrace the light. What's done is done. What can I do now? I can bring beauty out of my brokenness. I can bring purpose to my pain. And I can have triumph in the midst of tragedy. And that's exactly what Jesus Christ does for you. This Christmas, the greatest gift that you can give might be to yourself. And if you give it to yourself by receiving Christ into the manger of your heart, wouldn't it make your whole family better to be filled with light? Wouldn't it make your little neighborhood better? Wouldn't it make McMinnville a brighter place? It might even have a difference in the whole state of Tennessee. Well, since we're at it, let's just go for the whole world. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? One thing's for sure, life's rough, but we're not alone. The darkness will not overcome the light. Thanks be to God for his unspeakable gift in his own self, Jesus Christ, to come as a child just like us, to show us how to live and how to love and how to live forever. Amen and amen.